Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Apple Gift Card is a practical gift that unlocks a world of entertainment and fun. You can send it via email or give a physical card to your loved ones. Your friends and family can spend it on their favorite Apple services, including Apple subscriptions. Apple Gift Card can be used to buy all things Apple. Products, accessories, apps, games, movies, TV shows, iCloud Plus, and more. Visit apple.com for details and to send Apple Gift Cards to your friends and family this holiday season.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. Cody, Thad, David, and Robert here. We are the KC Soccer Journal. Please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome, gentlemen. We're recording Sunday after the one... Oh my God, I just forgot what it was. The 1-1. The 1-1 draw. In my head, it feels like a win. I actually almost said 2 wins for over the weekend for KC teams. It really just feels like a win. 1-1 draw in Vancouver. KC Current got a win after 4 or 5 straight losses. But we're going to get started here. We have a lot. We want to talk about the defense a lot, but I want to start off with Kendall McIntosh. That seems to be the thing I saw a lot of people talking about the most. So that is where we're going to start. David.
He is a part of the defense, right?
Yes. The whole segment 1 is defense heavy here. David, where you stand with Kendall McIntosh?
I wish John Pulskamp was playing, and I think a mid-size, like bigger than a sapling but smaller than a redwood, could probably do some of the things that Kendall does.
Thank you. You guys are coming around to the tree argument from 6 years ago or whatever that was.
No, I think that Kendall McIntosh is an adequate backup, but I think that his deficiencies as a player put a lot of strain on the back line. He has a tendency to punch or
Poorly.
parry stuff away that, Tim would just scoop up, or I think John would probably also just try to scoop up.
Or at least they would punch it better. He's a poor puncher.
Vancouver had a goal called back on video review. Well, it was an offside that I think got confirmed by video review without having to go to the monitor. But that was a punch that didn't really get cleared.
Yeah.
And when the ball dropped to Ryan Gauld at the top of the box, he was dangerous enough to, and it took a gnarly deflection. But that's exactly why I'd rather have somebody with sure hands
on plays like that.
Punch.
On plays like that, the keeper's confidence is just on full display. And that double punch he did, where I think probably only one fist connected, he was leaking confidence on it. And the second it went out there, I knew it was dangerous. And yeah, I think we did get a little bit lucky. By the rule of the law, definitely it should not have counted, but it feels a little fortunate for sure. Thad, where are you at with Kendall McIntosh?
I like Kendall. He's a nice guy.
Thank you, Thad. Robert, where are you at with Kendall McIntosh?
Yeah, I mean, I think I marked at least 2 or 3 things where he should have caught him and could have easily caught him. So I agree with that aspect of it for sure. But we got to remember how we got here. I mean, Pulskamp made some errors too. And of course, we don't know what else is going on. But McIntosh hasn't done anything for me to say, oh, he needs to be yanked. He's doesn't have the experience that Melia has, and he's going to make some mistakes because of that. He's been a backup his whole career to this point for a reason. But again, I don't see anything to yank him for. He made a great save when he got down to his right in the second half, just tipped that one so it hit the crossbar, or not the crossbar, the post.
Great.
So, he's done some nice things too.
Great save. See, that's just where I differ in the way people talk about keepers. Great save. I cannot say the word great from that. It was adequate. It was an adequate save. But no, it's interesting.
Oh, all right.
It's interesting your point you make about if there's nothing you see to yank him, because I see it as there's nothing I see to keep him on the field.
So how did you feel about Pulskamp, weeks ago?
I see them. Daniel Sperry and I were having this conversation the other day in the press box. They, from a mistake perspective or a value to the team right now, I think that they're about the same, but Pulskamp is the guy for the future.
Right.
So
that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. We're here because Pulskamp made some mistakes, but so is Kendall. And I don't think any of the saves he has made have been miraculous enough. I saw the team. Oh, it really bothered me. The team tweeted out a video of him catching a floating ball that a high school keeper would have caught. And they tweeted this out like it was some miraculous save. And then after the home game, they had him, he was the one that went to the cauldron. He was the one in the press conference. And I don't see it. I don't see why we were this excited about it. And the way that game ended was enough for me. Like Robert, you said you didn't see enough to yank him. The ending of that game frustrated me to no end. The last 10 seconds, he had 2 mistakes. Not being able to get the ball out far enough. And yes, so the play I'm talking about there was if he kicks the ball far enough, he's got the ball in his hands, everybody moves up the field, he drop kicks it, and it doesn't even get to half field. If he kicks that far enough, someone heads it and the game's over right there. But then the ball comes back our way. Someone, probably Castellanos, who is terrible, and we're going to get to that. I can't do Castellanos anymore.
I'm glad you're giving Castellanos some credit here.
Made a terrible back pass, and I screamed at it at the back pass. But still, Kendall, he's a professional athlete, and a ball was rolling to him. Kick it, get the ball in the air. It was still a bad kick from Kendall, and yeah, that I guess where I'm different from you there, Robert, is I just don't see enough reason to keep him on the field when we have Big Bear waiting on the bench.
Well, and in the Dallas game, Kendall parried a shot away that I think Tim would have just caught, and Jesus Ferreira jumped on it, scored a goal. We got fortunate; it was offside. And offside is offside. So, you can debate how lucky that truly is. But he spilled a rebound that didn't need to be spilled, and then the goal that Dallas ended up scoring late in the game was in large part due to Kendall's errors.
Howler from Kendall on that one.
And John Pulskamp is not perfect. He's also 22, right? Something like that. Like he's young.
Yeah.
And Kendall McIntosh is 29. So if we're going to be getting these kind of plays out of our keeper, regardless of what's happening, I would prefer to go with the younger guy with more upside, more room to grow.
Big Bear is 22 years old.
And that's the X factor. Yeah, I agree with you on that fact. I'm just saying there's nothing that Kendall's done that really says, oh, we've got to get him out of there now. No. But again, you can argue there's nothing that said really like, wow, he's really the guy right now either. So,
I mean, the nice gentle pass to the Vancouver forward that almost led to the game-winning goal, I would say that was enough for me.
That's what I'm saying. That last play was enough. And the goal against Dallas, that was horrible. The one that David just mentioned that Ferreira scored. That was both of those. And then there's been a lot of them in between, a lot of little mistakes in between as well. Thad, do you have something you actually want to say about Kendall McIntosh? Do you have something for me? We're creating content here. Give me something.
Sure. One of the comments I heard yesterday was I don't see what Kendall is doing that Melia or Pulskamp wouldn't have given you, but I also didn't see anything out of Melia or Pulskamp that Kendall wasn't giving us because he was making the saves and they're getting results with him in there. Okay. Uh, I know that Melia has way more experience. Pulskamp has upside, but it is still coming down to this is a team is trying to at least build some confidence right now and get on some kind of roll. So whatever Peter's seeing in him that he thinks that is going to get him the next result, that's what he's doing. Pulskamp is potentially the guy for the future. And I completely understand the play the guy now that you're going to need 5 years from now or 2 years from now or whatever number you want to use. But Peter is still looking more short term is I want to get results right now in order to get on a good streak.
That is the valid point, though, right? If it's working, don't fix it.
It happened last year. He's been Sweat. He's been Sweat. We got hot with Ben Sweat, and it didn't matter how well or poorly Ben Sweat really played. We were winning at the end of the year with Ben Sweat, so Ben Sweat played. And that's where we're at with McIntosh right now.
That logical is always. Go ahead.
I will say Ben Sweat actually did have a good last couple months of the season.
Stop.
But doesn't that feel like, though, okay, we're going to wait until a horrific mistake happens that costs us a game, and then we'll yank him.
That's what I'm saying. Thad is you're always thinking logically. That makes sense for sure, but that's where I'm at, Robert. It's just if that's what you're doing, then it just all feels like we're just sitting around waiting for him to lose an entire game for us.
We are seeing warning signs for sure.
Speaking of,
I could see changing him. I'm not necessarily arguing for that. I'm just trying to make the case for why it's probably not happening just yet.
Speaking of someone being responsible for dropping points, we're going to talk about Robert Voliter.
Yikes.
This is one
well,
David.
Arguably, it should have been a goal early on for Vancouver that was called back anyway. But okay, you're right.
Why should have arguably been not called back?
You don't agree with that?
The 24th minute?
Yeah.
What you think it was offside? I don't think it was offside.
Did you see the explanation that it wasn't that the player was blocking?
Yeah,
McIntosh. He was blocking the defender from blocking.
That was the explanation.
Yeah,
that was the explanation that Christina Uncle gave. I don't know that.
Right. I don't agree with that.
I was entirely. How was he not? They were making contact. They were touching.
Yeah.
They were like bouncing off of each other. How was that not impeding him? Whoever our defender was, I don't even remember at the
defender?
time.
Yeah.
That was the point. It was
Castellanos.
Yeah. I mean once I heard that explanation, I was very confused the whole time because I'm like, there's no one standing in front of McIntosh. I don't see what the problem is there. But yeah, if there's another defender there who was in offside position when the ball was struck and he's impeding a defender, someone on the goal line who can stop it, then it's offside. And actually,
it's a contact game. Come on.
But he's offside. He was offside.
In an offside.
I just disagree, Cody. I'm sorry, man. I disagree.
If I was a Vancouver fan, I would feel very hard done by that.
Yeah,
but after seeing Christina Uncle's explanation, it makes sense and would take a little bit out of the sting. Like a little bit of the sting out of it for me.
Yeah.
But if I liked the Whitecaps, I would be pretty upset.
And I actually feel like I don't like the way a lot of the times that play is called. Like sometimes they'll let it slide of a guy in an offside position if he's not, and they'll deem that he didn't impact the play, but it's like he's standing right by the keeper, like he's kind of in front of the keeper. If the guy is there, a keeper, you shouldn't put it on the keeper to know that that guy is offside and I don't have to worry about him. So if there's a guy in the keeper's vicinity, he's having to factor in that guy in anything that happens. He's having to defend from that guy as well. And so I always think that if they're in an offside position and anywhere near the goal or near the keeper or near the ball, then they should be called offside. So I actually really liked the way this one was called. But I guess
of course you do. You're sporting homer, man.
So Robert, are you're disagreeing with that the guy was in an offside position or that he was?
I mean, I didn't look at the feet or the body to see if he was like a hair offside, but I don't think he interfered with the play. I mean, it got deflected when it came in, and
while they were bumping off of each other, the defender and that guy.
He was more than a hair offside. but
Was he more than her? I wasn't
yeah,
looking.
I mean, it wasn't
as
like
close at
5
that.
feet, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a one that the Twitter account needs to go check.
I want the payoff for this, Robert. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about Volader. You're gonna watch that play, and you're gonna give us the payoff. And if
I think it's another one like it was that last week. If they don't call it, does VAR call him over to the monitor to call it? I don't think
they
so.
did. That is what happened. They called a goal, and then he went over and checked it and called
the
it.
opposite. The opposite. If it is called, I don't know if VAR calls over and says. So in other words, it was kind of a gray area there.
Yeah, if it was called, the VAR would not have been able to overturn it. I agree because it was offside.
Yeah. All I got from this is that Robert
didn't exactly watch the play.
Rougher version. This is Robert Prison Rules Russert, and when we're in the media game, watch your noses, watch your chins. Robert's coming in to smack everybody.
Right.
Okay, so Robert Volader, we actually had all 3 U22 players on the field last night. I don't think it was at the same time, but they were all on the field last night, and he was the worst 3. And what's odd, because at one point I would have said he was the best of the 3 so far, like up to that point. But I don't even know.
Why you're not coaching?
Who is playing the best of these 3 right now? We're still not talking about how bad that play was from Volader, but
it's got to be in Denbei, right?
Right. I would agree, but Janice is actually showing something. It's still not what we need, but it's something. We'll get to the offense. We'll get to that. Robert Volader, do we have the back line depth that we need, David?
No. I mean, Volader, who was a U22 signing, and I'll, eat some crow in that I wanted him to play more because he was a U22, right? We invested all this money in him. You might as well see if he can pan out. And he's behind Robert Castellanos on the depth chart. But Fontes gets subbed out at halftime, and Volader came in and was okay until he just made a really unnecessarily challenge in the box. But in terms of our depth, where we're at now, Zusi's out, so we're playing Jake Davis, who is not a right back by trade or training, because Caden Pierre's hurt, Graham Zusi's hurt, so our 2 natural right backs are out. Danny Rosero was rested for this game, I guess based on cramps, but then you've got Castellanos, who's a replacement level-ish player behind him. If Fontes is out, you're relying on Volader. And then on the left, you've got Ndenbe and Leibold, who are both, have been playing okay. So we've got one position with any sort of depth.
Yeah, Castellanos, he ain't it. He should have honestly, he probably should have gotten a second red card on the season from his very minimal appearances.
I think a red would have been a little harsh, just given where they were on the field.
Yes, it would have been harsh, but
Fontes is not, fast, but they were not that far past the midline, and Fontes probably could have gotten there.
It was well done from Castellanos in that he sold it very well. He made it look like they were just tripping over each other when it was pretty much by all accounts, like that's a red card foul there. It's all intentional. The guy had a goal scoring opportunity, whatever, but we were fortunate on that one, and I am absolutely done with Castellanos.
If it was like 15 yards closer to goal, it would be a dog so red.
Yeah,
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think of the 2, I think Castellanos showed worse this match. Of course, he played more minutes, so it gave him more time to be bad. But I think of the 2, Castellanos was the worst.
Do you have a contrarian statement about Castellanos?
I keep wanting to, man. I keep wanting to at least try to make the case that was not a red card, but it wasn't a red card. I will state that, but they were battling for the ball, and they both had their arms across each other trying to prevent the other from getting in front of them. So it could have been a little bit of either way in that case, but yellow was completely justified for sure.
It was top level shithousery. That was, it was well done on getting away with that
on both sides. But I'm not saying he's the greatest defender, man. He was signed up from USL just to make sure we had depth of somebody that could play the spot, and it wasn't Jake Davis playing it or Cam Duke.
Yeah, let him ripen up on SKC2, please.
Oh man, I would love Cam Duke at center back. Like, not because I think it would work, but just the sight gag of like the smallest center back in the league.
Where is Cam Duke? Why haven't we seen him anywhere?
He's an SKC2 player at the moment.
He's keeping the doghouse warm for Volliter.
Well, yes, that's where I was getting at. Is he in the doghouse for something, Thad?
I don't know, man. You don't know what goes on in training for some of that stuff, but I haven't seen anything specific that would have put him in the doghouse other than... Well, I haven't seen anything that would put him in the doghouse, but let me defend Mr. Robbie for a second, because Peter did not throw him under the bus last night when he was asked about that penalty.
I did pretty hard. I introduced it pretty hard.
And Cody matters, damn it.
Honestly, I was really just going for the good segue. I saw an opening for the good segue from dropping games and dropping points to our next point. So I'm sorry, Robbie. I like Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nice guy, but Peter was asked
us.
about it last night, and he said he didn't see the penalty, so he didn't, he wasn't criticizing the call or anything like that, but he said all he would say is sometimes in the heat of the battle, you're a little bit emotional and you go for it, whereas sometimes that's where you have got to really know where you are. You've got to smell the situation and you got to deal with it a little differently. Didn't sound like he was not going after Robbie. He wasn't like, oh, that was a terrible, and you know you're not going to see him for 2 months.
Yeah, he's got a soft spot for Volliter, I think.
Could be, man. He's a German.
It was a completely unnecessary challenge. It was just absolutely unnecessary. Caicedo was going away from goal. The ball was, because Caicedo took a heavy touch on it too. So stay on your feet and shade him down to the end line and make him make a really tough play. There's absolutely no reason to go in.
So David annoyed me here. He put two conflicting...
Yeah, I think
Uh-oh. What happened there? Robert, you good?
What?
You want to say something?
I'm good. Oh, yeah, I was going to let you talk, man, but I was going to say, I think a factor in the second half defense that we weren't quite as strong was that Radoya looked spent at the end of the first half. And I think he just wasn't there all the way. Second half didn't have the engine to do some things that he would normally have done. I think that was a factor as well.
Yeah, David put two conflicting points in the rundown here just to annoy me here. So after shut up. Shut up.
No.
After saying that the back line was
slander me like this.
After saying the back line was very thin, the next point he added in there was defense did pretty good.
Those aren't conflicting points. You can say that we don't have depth, but say that the guys who played well. How is that conflicting?
No,
well, the starters didn't play, but the backups did well. That's what you're saying.
Yes, we had a second
and
string
we've been
team.
picking on two of them the whole time.
That sucks, but the backups did great.
Fontes did start, but they're not conflicting points.
Oh,
and
wait,
also,
Fontes is a great starter. I appreciate you acknowledging that, man.
And also, since we're letting people in on how the sausage is made, it says backline depth running a little thin ? That's what I wrote. It was a question. Is our backline depth starting to run thin? You jerk. But to the other point, which was not a question, but actually a declarative statement that I made, Sporting's defense, other than the pen, did do a very good job of stifling the Whitecaps, who are second in the West in goals. And, all of the expected goals metrics are all calculated a little differently, but generally speaking, they all had Vancouver at just a shade over one expected goal.
Yeah.
And I think a penalty kick is 0.8 XG.
Usually somewhere around there.
At halftime, Vancouver had 0.09 XG. So this red hot Vancouver attack that put up 6 against Houston, outside of the pen, really didn't create much.
Second
so
string
that backline
team
depth did good.
Yeah, I think the back line is pretty deep then.
Or the keeper did, one or the other, man.
We just spent the last 15 minutes shitting on our keeper and both center backs.
Back up, guys. Come on. You're losing sight here a little bit. Let's pull back. I think our front line did a good job of, pressuring and then counter pressuring when we lost possession as well. Give the midfield a little bit of credit as well. So I think that was good.
Our unsung hero too. Yes, the midfield I think is the main difference there. There's less that goes wrong in the back because the midfield is more able to control things. And I do think Nemanja Radoja deserves some credit there. He's quiet, he's unsung, not even doing you can kind of disappear at times without even noticing him because it's just one quick little filler pass, a connecting pass, and the ball's up the field. But I do think go ahead.
The word I use for him is functional. He's not spectacular. He's functional. He does the job he's supposed to do. He connects the two. So functional.
No, I know. David, I was giving you crap, but yes, the back line, I obviously have my problems with the two center backs that finished that game there. But the team is playing so well right now that basically a second-string team went and kept in check one of the best attacks in the West, and I'm very pumped about this point. I'm calling it a win.
So Cody, in our chat at some point, you said just imagine if they add a center back in the summer window. I assume you're talking about a left center back.
Yeah. Yes. Imagine if Rosero was our number 2 center back. It gets me all tingly inside.
Or there's just 2 Roseros.
Or just exactly 2 Roseros. 2 guys that can head the ball. Oh, my God.
Do you think that's likely, though, given that Volater's a U22, and I don't remember off the top of my head how much of a pay cut Fontes took, but Fontes is an international and isn't necessarily cheap.
I know. I'm not saying that I have no sources that they're searching or close to signing a center back. I'm just fantasizing about it.
Call Brian Bliss.
Or a friend of the pod, Jake. He's in the scouting department. He can help us out there. He's not sure if he can even come on this show. We keep asking him. He wants to do it, but we're not sure about the legality there, if he can get free. Okay. Anything else on the defense? What have we missed on the defensive discussion? Nothing?
I think we got it.
Okay.
But hey, kudos to Jake again.
For what?
Jake Davis. Just kudos.
There you go. There we go. That is one thing we missed.
And I will say, on a positive note, Logan looked pretty solid. Logan had a really nice run. Before he got subbed. So 25, 30 minutes into the match, but had a really nice run to advance the ball, progress the ball all the way down, and then, just missed the final pass into the box.
He did that a couple times. Logan did. He would do a couple good things, and then it was just that last touch. And that is where he doesn't shine at the moment. We're kind of hoping he progresses there. Yeah. Oh, and Jake Davis, man. I think we saw why he was only going 60 minutes there for those first 2 times that he got the start there. Because that dude, he was. I'm giving him credit. Like, he was leaving it all out there, but those last 10 minutes, like, his legs just looked so heavy, just dragging up and down the field.
Yep. 3 games in however many days and then the last one being on turf.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
That's Potter Radoja's problem too, I think.
Yes. For him, if he's not 90-minute fit that can do 3 games in 7 days or whatever plus travel, I understand that. So even if he wasn't at his best in that game, I think he's played really well in the games that he's started and all that, and he may not be the spectacular one, but he's doing a really good job at it, and that's part of what Sporting's needed. So
yeah,
he could call our sponsors Logan Legs and Sporting Fit and maybe improve on some of that.
Well done.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to add in our ads right here. I don't know if you listeners will even hear anything because I'm adding in 2 breaks now. So this is the end of segment 1. I'm going to add in some ads, but you might not even hear anything. I'm in a weird spot where it's like, I don't know if I should say we're going to a break and then come back from a break because sometimes they don't even hear anything if the ad's not filled. So it just goes right through it. So listener, we're taking a break right now. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the offense and the Alan Pulido saga. So we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And we're back.
Thank you.
Did you hear
to
any
the
ads?
ad people?
Did you hear any ads? I wonder.
So
if you
don't they put ads wherever the hell they want to, and they don't care?
No, I pick spots. We're
Right.
now moving to two different within the show, two different ad spots, but we're also not sure that they'll even all get filled. So
If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know.
that's another
And
complication here.
And if you listen to this podcast in the audio format, go to our website, kcsoccerjournal.com. You'll find the one article a week that Cody writes, and in there, leave it in the comments. Let us know, did you hear ads or not?
Okay. Yeah, I like the feedback. I love when you guys actually give us feedback. We don't hear that a lot. When we try things, I never know if it worked or if it's good or if people liked it or not.
Hey, I got a story to tell you, man. I got a story.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very, very busy yesterday. On Saturday, I was shooting an event, and I was outside all day. It was hot, and I was on blacktop, but it was for a really good charity. But at one point, my wife was there. She was doing some stuff, and somebody walks by. She goes, "Oh, I know that guy. He sits in the same section as we do." So, like, he sits in the same section with David and Robert. She says hi and starts talking and introduces me, and he goes, "Hey, I know you. I know your voice.
Yes.
You do pods?" And I said, "Why, yes, I do." And he goes, "I listen to you, man. I love this." So I appreciate that.
Oh, good stuff. Also, I knew that David and Robert sat in the same section, but I did not know that Thad was there too. I think it's so cute that you guys all sit so close together.
I don't sit there,
Cute.
but my wife does.
Right. Okay.
Well, we're too far removed now from this being a relevant topic.
David,
but
are you going where I think
was,
you're going?
I was creeping on Robert's date not that long ago.
Oh no.
And I put it in our Slack chat that I could give a whole rundown. So
That was hilarious.
No.
we're a little removed from it now, being particularly topical. But next time,
Just give us the highlights here. Does Robert have game? Did he look smooth at least?
He seemed to.
He seemed
to have game.
Okay, good job.
At
Robert.
least more than I would have expected.
And we even talked with David and his family after the game. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Meeting the friends
seemed-
already, huh?
She seemed lovely. She seemed like a really. I do have a criticism, which is she lives in St. Louis, but otherwise it seemed delightful.
Delightful.
But at one point he hit her
She'll
like
appreciate
the.
She occasionally
got the
listens,
arm
just so you
around.
know.
He got the arm around.
Just stretching.
Was it a stretch? Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, like the 13-year-old move, something like that.
Yeah, that's.
But
a
she does
junior
listen
high.
occasionally, guys. So just so you know.
Okay.
So
good.
we'll give her a shout out, man. Say hi.
Hi.
There's that game that we were looking for.
I'm not gonna
So
give
good.
her. I'm not gonna say her name.
So
Come on.
smooth.
To all of the ladies who listen, Robert says hi.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to like throw out like like there might be another one out there listening, so you don't want to say hi,
Right, exactly.
Joanne
Yeah.
or whatever her name is.
Thank you, Thad. Thank you.
Yeah, I get it.
Robert
man.
hates this so much. It's the only reason I let it go on this long.
Turnabout's fair play though, Robert. You can now give details of how David's kids run around throwing peanuts at each other or something.
The only reason I
have
let
to
that
have
go
eyes in the
on.
back of my head for that one.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
Cody, you have any control at this point?
No. David, Sporting's offense created very little in this game.
That's true. Under one expected
Yes.
goal. Under one, and we scored a goal.
They're
So
overachieving.
That tells you how little we had going forward.
Sounds good to me. They overachieved.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is we scored early and then more or less just kind of dug in, and I think they were looking for a good opportunity to pick up a second, but we're perfectly content to just, battle it out in the midfield and play compact in defense. And, they already had the goal. They already had the lead.
They do. And then without Johnny Russell up there, things do seem to just feel like we're missing some creative aspect or attention from the defense or something.
Yeah, I mean, I like Marino Jonis. He's not a right winger. He's a left winger. And so he doesn't look as comfortable on the right as he would if he was playing in Daniel's spot, but Daniel's not going anywhere. But he did a nice job of combining with Tommy a little bit, and Tommy almost at some points was playing the right wing, and Jonis had almost dropped back into the midfield. So, but they're definitely missing Johnny Russell. When you don't have one of the more dangerous wingers in the league, you're going to look worse.
Janis gives Johan Quase vibes.
You shut your mouth.
You
shut your mouth.
There's a flair. It's like if you were just playing pickup soccer and you saw that guy, you're like, oh, that guy's probably pretty good. But then there's just something, it just doesn't quite work. His feet move faster than his brain does, is how I describe Marinos Janis.
And he doesn't pull off the spectacular like Crozet did occasionally.
Right. He's not as good as Quase, for sure.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Hold on.
Quase stand, baby.
Whoa. Name one spectacular play Johan made.
U.S. Open
the
Cup.
US
You remember
Open
that
Cup.
goal? That volley? Okay.
I just saw the
there's
GIF in
just
my
one,
head
yeah.
like 4 times. It's so beautiful. The angle from the other side of the field. It's a legendary goal.
What about all the tap-ins he missed? What about trying to chip the keeper from halfway only for it to get turned around and for us to immediately get scored on?
Yeah, and that's
Johan, I'm sure I've met him.
Chaos.
He was a lovely man. He was very nice.
No,
he wore jorts better than Cody does.
No. He was
But
not
he
a
was
lovely
bad.
man.
And Janis is better. I'll take Janis over Johan 10 days out of 10.
Women of
All right,
Kansas. The women
There was
of
a moment
Kansas
in the
City.
Vancouver game where Shalawee was cutting back the ball, and he had Janis running near post, wide open, and he played it back for somebody beyond Janis, and Janis just had his hands up like, what? Why? So, maybe he's not getting the service he needs sometimes, too.
Robert, I don't like when you rein in the show. If the show's going off the rails, that's when I want it to go off the rails.
Right. In a 1v1 game, who wins, Johan or Janis?
Johan.
Janis.
No.
Janis.
I don't know. Who has
Janis.
better defense? Does that work like that? Can you do this with soccer? Is that the same question as like one-on-one, Michael versus LeBron, who would win? I don't know if that's exactly the same thing.
It's not exactly the same thing. It's a different sport.
I think Janis works harder, and I think he's a little quicker, a little pacier. So I think Janis wins that.
I'll go with Johan. But the listeners should let us know.
Top
think Johan
5
would be
1v1
chippier.
battles you want to see. We want to hear it.
The top 5 1v1 Sporting KC players of all time.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we'll find some AI program to make this happen.
And we should do also a goalie battle, like, straight one-on-one, like the All-Star game with Pulskamp and McIntosh. That's who gets to start next.
I miss those goalkeeper battles. Those were fun.
Yes. They brought him back, didn't they? I thought they brought him back last year.
They were supposed to, but they never showed it.
Or maybe they
That was the
announced.
rumor.
You had to pay to see it.
Oh,
Mm.
it's fair. You got to pay for everything these days. Let's get into Alan Pulido. That goal was worth the price of admission. I saw it coming. I did not see that coming. I said before the game that we're going to need a moment of brilliance from Pulido, and we got one very early on.
Prophetic.
David,
Well done.
how do you feel about Alan Pulido and Chivas and another team sniffing
Cruz
around?
Azul.
Cruz
Cruz
Azul.
Azul.
Tell us what you feel about Alan Pulido.
I want to sell him. I want to get any fee we can for him.
We're cutting our losses, huh?
I know it's a controversial opinion to have as we've potentially maybe turned the season around. But I don't think we're a trophy winning team this year. We're already out of the Open Cup. I don't think we're going to try in the Leagues Cup. And I don't think we're going to win MLS Cup. I think there's a lot of other better teams. And so if we're not going to win a trophy this year, the question is, what are we playing for? And, you're playing for the fans to put on a show, to do this and that, but you're also playing for the future, and it's a business. So we paid what, 8 million, 9 million in a transfer fee plus 2 million a year for Pulido. And he's going to be able to leave for free at the end of the season. He can sign a pre-contract when the transfer window opens in a few weeks. So if Chivas or Cruz Azul is willing to pay us now to take him early, I'm in favor of recouping whatever we can for him, because let's say we get a $2 million fee, and I think that's the number that was kind of being tossed around. If we can get a $2 million fee for him, that's $2 million less that we have to spend on the next guy. And so, Vermees and Bliss would be crazy to not already be thinking about who the next striker will be. There should be pretty robust scouting, and they should be at least starting to preliminarily have these talks about who's going to replace him. If you can get a fee for him, get a fee, find the next guy.
Thad, what are you doing with Pulido?
Flipping a coin. First of all, we don't really know if Chivas is actually trying to get him, because Peter says that they've not had one conversation about him. So there's always been reports out of Mexico that he's coming back to Chivas. Every time he gets asked about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind going back," because he loves Chivas. I mean, he had some of his best life there, I'm pretty sure. But the thing you have to remember is he left there with some dislike because they still owe him money. There's lawsuits there.
Right.
So if you're Pulido and Chivas wants to buy you and bring you back, don't you think the first thing you'd have to say is, pay me X million of dollars up front in cash, no delayed payments, no next year kind of thing? And is Chivas ready to do that? If they even actually truly want them, all these stories that I've seen doesn't have anybody from Chivas actually quoting that. It's people talk to people. I mean, I can go say that I've talked to people who say that Sporting's going to bring in Cristiano Ronaldo in the summer because he's leaving Middle East because he's tired of it. I could say that. But at least we got a quote from Peter Vermees saying that's not happened. They've not had a conversation. So it might be a completely moot point anyway. And the other thing we know is that Peter has said that they have had negotiations to bring Pulido back. Whether you want that or not, that's might be.
Help me out here, guys who are a little more in the know, perhaps. Why would Chivas want him? It's not like he's lit the world on fire. He's coming back from an injury. Is their situation so bad at Chivas that they need Alan Pulido?
Well, they have two younger strikers. They have JJ Macias, who was linked to Sporting a while back, and he did his knee and then came back and then did his knee again.
Yeah.
And then they have another striker whose name I don't remember, but who's also not been great. And Chivas famously has a very narrow player pool that they can select from, because you have to be Mexican to play for Chivas. Yeah. So the question, if you're them, is how many Mexican strikers are there? Who's good? Who's available? Who's an attainable target? And he probably checks a lot of those boxes.
Well, it comes down to, and we all know this, but it's worth mentioning, it comes down to, if Pulido wants to stay here, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Peter will get rid of him if he knows that he doesn't really want to be here.
And I've heard a lot of rumblings on social media that Pulido doesn't want to be here because there's always these conversations about him going back to Chivas, and he always says nice things about going back to Chivas and all that type of stuff. Everything I've talked to people, everything I've seen doesn't indicate that he wants to leave. He's been, what I understand, to be relatively happy here. He still roots for Chivas because that's a team that he had some glory with, and he wishes them well. I just don't know that he wants to go back as much as what everybody portrays it. And when I've seen people say he's also checked out and he doesn't care about this team. I've seen him out there busting ass working his butt off to be better. I don't see where these people say these things because I don't know what they're seeing that makes them think that.
So it could be renegotiation ploys. Is that what you're saying? Planted by an agent or something? I don't know. But also, I think from what has been said out there, that Alan's had a pretty good time in Kansas City. If You know what I'm referring to.
I don't know what you're referring
I'm
to.
guessing.
I have absolutely no idea what you're referring to.
Okay.
You saying he's got more game than you?
Perhaps.
I don't think
I like
that's
that.
a debate.
That was good.
I don't think that's a debate.
Well, he's driving a Ferrari, so
I thought he had one lady friend. No?
he had a wife.
Oh.
Is that what you're alluding to,
Was that
Robert?
past tense?
Mhm. Yes.
Oh, I missed all that. We did no reporting on Pulido's social life.
No,
Really dropping the ball there.
that's really not the realm that I want to dive into. TMZ
Exactly.
of Kansas City soccer.
Yeah.
Although we'd make more money.
I don't know. I haven't given my thing on the Alan Pulido situation. It's just so shitty. It makes me sad that all of this is happening. We're in such a terrible spot. Like there's part of me that's like has like a fiery passion of hatred for him. Like he ruined our club. Like we signed him and the signing ruined our club.
So why would you hate him for that?
That's what I mean. That's why I'm conflicted. I have to be mad at someone. I can't like he got hurt. I got to be mad at someone.
Be mad at the Mexican national team. It's their fault.
Right.
How did he ruin the
That's
club?
easy. I can do that.
Yeah, we already.
Yeah,
knew that.
exactly.
As a result of his injury and other things, we got to the point where the fans in the Cauldron were chanting for our coach's head. We had a historically bad start. We spent more money on him than the next 10 players combined that we've ever spent on someone. And as a result, it crippled the club because he got hurt. And so but then at the same time, every time he's on the field, you can immediately see his quality. You hear people on the team talking about him in the locker room, the things he does, everything that one of you just mentioned, the idea that like he's maybe quit on the team or something, or that he doesn't care about being here. That I see absolutely none of that. Everything you hear about him is the exact opposite of that. He does everything you want him to do. He does he has the work rate. He does it all. But I don't know, like, what if we keep him and get out of the playoffs in the second round and he leaves for free? Oh my God, that's just going to hurt so bad. And I don't know. I guess that's discounting the fun along the way, the goals he would score along the way, or getting us to the playoffs and all of that. But still, man, we tried to get this guy for 3 years, and we've got a year and a half out of him.
Well, going back to what David said earlier, I mean, every team in the world, right, has that board that says, okay, here's our current roster depth. Here are the guys that we want to go after that are on our list. There's got to be that list, right? So if they do end up selling Pulido, they've got to have that list and maybe already working on some of those in some ways in the background. So you hope that's what's happening, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it would be criminally negligent of the front office
Right.
to not be having those conversations.
Yeah.
They most certainly have the board. The question is, are you starting to have those conversations? Do you call up,
Right.
Olympiacos and say, hey, we're kind of interested. We might need a striker. What do you think? And the other reason I'm in favor of doing it this window is, even though it materially changes our season now, all of the European teams are in their off season, and they're much more willing to part with somebody and part with them for a better fee because they have time to find a replacement. So when we sign somebody in our off season in the winter window, they're mid-season. So if you take a striker off a team, they have to have a replacement ready because values are also inflated during the winter window in Europe. So we're going to get a better deal if we try to sign a player in their off season now.
And that's the best reason to make the deal if Chivas is even actually interested in making the move for Pulido. That is the problem with that, though, will always be, yes, Sporting probably has a list of X number of strikers that they want, that they have an interest in, but a lot of those guys may not make the move to Sporting until the end of the window time frame when their options run out in England or Spain or whatever, right? So now you might be waiting until the end of August or early September before somebody finally actually shows up, like Eric Tommy and Willie Agata last year. And you have completely, I don't want to say you completely thrown away the season because one guy doesn't make the team, but he does benefit the team a lot. So as bad as the team was earlier in the year, they're on a good streak. I'm not advocating one way or the other here as much as just trying to logic myself out of how I feel about it. If the option is even there, do you sell him? I don't know, but it does change the season, like you said. And after having such a shit start, for them to go downhill because they sold one guy, and then now everybody will be recalling for Vermees head. Not that everybody stopped.
Right.
It'll be a crappy situation kind of all the way around.
It is a crappy situation right now, currently, because the signing ruined our club.
I have a miracle fix, guys. You want to hear my proposal?
Kyrie Shelton.
He's 28 years old. He's a product of Everton and Liverpool. He's an impact striker. Super Paul Mullen. He's our man.
We can't get Paul Mullen.
Paul Mullen belongs in like League Two.
I was gonna say, that's a good question though. Would Paul Mullen score goals in MLS?
You know what? Bradley Wright Phillips was like a career like League One or League Two guy, and he lit up MLS. I mean, admittedly a very different version of MLS, but I don't know. Paul Mullen might be able to bag a goal or two.
Bag a goal or two. I'd give him a goal or two. I try to have this conversation with my mom. She thinks the Wrexham players are like so good. She thinks Paul Mullen is like the greatest striker in the world. And I have to try to explain to her the difference here.
Hey, shout out to Conrad Beasley. Shout out to Conrad Beasley, right? They beat Wrexham in the TST, but then lost the next game. But hey.
Yes, they won. They advanced one game. Is that right? Or two?
They advanced to the quarterfinals. Yeah.
All right. Nice job, Conrad Beasley United.
And how good did Wrexham do?
They beat the U.S. women 27-0 or something.
Oh my God! After that video,
12. It was 12.
After the shit talking video that she took that they had before the game they were calling out Wrexham before the game, and then they lost 12-0. Oh my God!
Did the women even score a goal? I don't know. I don't think they did.
No,
it was 12-0.
No, I mean in all three.
Oh, in the tournament. Oh,
yeah.
Well, not in two of them, I know, but
yeah.
Speaking of women's soccer, we're going to take a possible break, maybe a break. We're not actually sure if ads will play, but we're going to take a non-break, and then we're going to talk about women's soccer.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
All right. KC Current got a much-needed win, 1-0 over the North Carolina Courage. Thad, Kristen Hamilton is back.
I like Hammy.
We got our Ruth Langmore back.
I don't know who that is.
Check it out, man.
Yeah, I learned Thad doesn't watch Ozark, but Kristen Hamilton.
I don't watch Netflix.
Kristen Hamilton gives Ruth Langmore hardcore. She's got the hair. She's got the ferocity. I like it. I missed. Well, actually, I'll admit I didn't know why Kristen Hamilton was not playing.
I didn't know either.
What? She was hurt.
Yeah, well, yeah. What kind of
but
hurt?
She's been back for a couple of games, right?
Yeah, but this is her first start.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. First
and
start.
She just played the first half.
What was her injury?
Oh, God knows, man. Current don't give lots of great information.
Lower body or upper body? Which one was it?
they send a lot of emails, so that amazes me. They send way more emails than Sporting KC.
I get more emails from 3 different MLS teams and 2 different NWSL teams and 2 USL teams than I do from Sporting. Except I get the how to watch Sporting versus insert blank here team 3 times at every time. So
So what was wrong with the Current for a 4 games in NWSL, and they also lost a Challenge Cup game there. So 5 losses in a row across all competitions. What was the problem?
Everything. They just completely lost every sense of who they were. And part of it was that the new coach wanted to actually mold them into something better, and I get that. They wanted to play a 4-back line when they don't have the players for that. And that one of the differences was this game they played a 3-back or 5-back or however you want to say it with the 2 instead of 2 outside backs. They had the 2 wing backs of Haley Mace and Kate Delfava, like all of their success last year had.
This was how many games is this under the new manager?
8.
Oh, it is
total.
Well, I just
3 wins and then 5 losses.
I just wanted to poke at David about the. He was adamant that there's a new manager bump, a quote unquote new manager bump that he says matter of factly that every team gets, but he has dipped out of the chat here, so I can't poke at him for that.
Could do it when he's back.
So, yes, Thad, continue about the win over the Courage.
It was very much some of the games last year when the Current started to turn it around was they had very low possession. They didn't actually look that great all the time, but they countered fairly well and aggressively, and that's when they got the goal, was like 8, 9, 10 minutes in, whatever it was, which I almost didn't get to shoot because the security at Children's Mercy Park decided at that moment to decide I wasn't allowed to be on the field taking photos.
What?
Yeah.
Did you forget your credential?
I had my credential, but apparently, even though it says photo on it, the little box says that's red that says field, so I can't be on the field to do photos except.
Yeah, you showed me that. Yeah.
So yeah, they fixed that, but
good.
They got me a temporary credential, and they will have a new one next. Which actually, probably the good point is that the next one will have Kansas City Soccer Journal on it. So.
Okay, well, now that everyone knows that you're okay, everyone got the details of your story there, which they've all come to hear.
I know that's.
So, Thad, is there any truth to the rumor of signing this defender that I saw?
Which defender is
you
that?
You can't just drop that, Robert. You gotta do more than that, my man.
I was trying to look it up. Thanks, guys.
No, you're the one.
I thought you would
Robert's
know.
the one that just dropped that
I
on
was
the
trying
show
to
with
look it
no
up and I couldn't
information.
find it.
We have a rundown, Robert. You put these things in the rundown.
Hey, I'm improvising here, okay?
Let's all just be quiet till Robert finds it.
Shut up.
What did you want to ask?
Welcome
David,
back, David.
Cody?
I got David leaving the show. Robert just throwing bombs in the show. It's just anarchy here to end it.
Well, I'm not going to be able to contribute enough to a conversation about the Current.
Well, we were talking about how they got a new manager and lost 5 games in a row, and you were the one that was adamant about the quote unquote new manager bump that every team gets for sure every time.
In fairness to David, though, they got 3-game win after the coach was fired, and then they went on a 5-game losing streak.
5-game losing streak is what I heard.
Yeah, you always hear what you want to hear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
So
at
does
that.
David, though. So
I'm very good at
that. And I'm really just stalling, trying to give Robert at least a little bit of time to regain his dignity here.
He's still searching. Like
I was counting on you, Thad. I'm sorry.
I think he just read the internet wrong. He misread something.
I don't know what you're talking
I don't think
about.
this story exists. Robert just made something up.
Somebody posted it that
Okay.
she was holding up like had a Current shirt on or something.
Oh,
yeah,
I know what you're
I
talking
know
about.
what
5-minute micropod called Robert Found the Rumor.
Okay, we know what you're talking about now.
Very
Okay,
quickly,
good.
very, very quickly, someone explain it. Thad, what explain who he's talking about.
Okay.
Chad Smith found a Instagram post of a defender that is she's actually from Kansas City. I think her name is Kaylee Bell or Casey Bell, something like that. Cousin Bell. And she went to UNC. She goes to UNC. She's still in college, but she was wearing a Current shirt.
She posted a picture wearing a Current shirt.
Yeah, it looks like a training shirt, and there is one of 3 possibilities that she could be a trialist.
Right.
2, she could be with the current 2 team, which they've not announced anything. So when I asked about this, they were like, there's been no releases about the current 2 team. Well, there wasn't any releases about it most of the time when there was one anyway. And 3, they do bring in college players to train and so that they can take a look at them so that when they want to draft them the following year. So like last year's draft, Michelle Cooper, Jordan Silkowitz, the goalie, had both been in camp training and they knew him and they liked him and they drafted him. So it could be any of those 3 options, but the person I was able to ask knew nothing or at least claimed to know nothing. So is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
But even if she was signed, I would not count on her being a solution to the defense because
right.
she would still be a college player that had no experience, which is exactly what the problem is now. On the back line, they have been playing Gabrielle Robinson and Croy Soto, both rookies, both getting experience. Both of them are pretty good. They just have some inexperience, and they're going up against some of the best players in the world. And when they play a 4-back line, that's your 2 center backs. That makes SKC's depth look incredibly deep. When they go to the 5-back line, they add Addison Merrick in there typically, and it's much better. She's not as much a center as she is a right center back or a right back. Does that help?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. I am going to go prepare some Ruth Langmore gifts for next week for all of the goals that Kristen Hamilton is going to score.
Find me some YouTube
all this time
clips.
you spent on creating gifts for this team.
No, there's just an endless supply online. Ruth Langmore, what a character. Thad, you got to watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loan me your Netflix.
I don't actually. I'm about to lose it. This is the week they're doing the password sharing. They're canceling it.
Is it this week?
They did it last week, and I told my mom to not claim the household yet. That's what you have to do with a new Netflix for anyone who's not on to this yet. Every account has to like claim a household, and then all the devices on that household are good to go. If you're not on that Wi-Fi, then you're screwed. So I told my mom to not do that yet. So I'm like in a little bit of anarchy right now. I'm still using their account at my house, but I have a feeling this week they're gonna turn that on.
So David, is this a complete admission of guilt and admissible under into a court of law?
It's legal. It's legal still.
That Cody's not a full-grown adult yet. You're in your 30s, bro. Pay for Netflix.
No, so this account, they're losing a long-time subscriber. I had Netflix in college when it started.
You're not losing one. You're not subscribing now.
No, I am. This account is still the one that I had in college. They lost me a long time ago at a price raise, and I said I was going to cancel it. And my parents, who were using mine, David, decided to start paying for it, and then I started mooching off of them. So
I think it still comes out to the same result.
I'm still a child inside, but yeah.
Do they pay for your cell phone?
No.
You got car insurance?
I'm a big boy.
As you do this pod from your bedroom.
Leave me. What else? I'm not in my parents' house. It's my own bedroom.
Do we know that? I mean, I don't know. We haven't been there for a while.
God damn it. Leave me alone. Go Sporting!
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Some punter strong and ball comes off. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.